Hey everyone, welcome to another Mind Travel Cafe podcast. My name is Lissa Callahan and I'm your host. Today we're going to be talking about the basics of Reiki. Our guest today is Kim Knutson. She's a master Reiki healer, and we've invited her today to speak to us a little bit about the basics of Reiki. There's many of us in this community that are very familiar with the process of becoming a Reiki healer, what Reiki actually can do for people, what to expect in a session. But after having a recent conversation with one of my family members who had never heard of this practice, it made me think that perhaps there are other people out there that would like to know a little bit more about this particular healing modality and what to expect if they were to go into an actual session. So we're so glad today to be able to welcome this wonderful guest. Kim, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you became interested in this topic.
Okay, sure. Well, I'm actually a retired dental hygienist. I practiced for 18 years, and a car accident actually injured my neck and took me out of clinical practice. So in the process of transitioning away from that career, I did a few other jobs in the in-between, but I really missed helping people. That was my favorite part of being a dental hygienist, was helping people with their health. And so I looked into other careers that I could possibly do that. And then I remembered years ago, I had a massage therapist that was also a Reiki Master. And I came into her once with just horrible migraine, but I'm like, I need the massage. Let's just do it anyway. And she ended up doing Reiki on me instead for the whole time and took care of my migraine. And I walked away so clear-headed. All the pain was gone. All of the brain fogginess was gone. And so I remembered that. And so then I just started researching into that and discovered that it was my path. I was supposed to do this. So then I just explored through all the education, did all that good things that we'll talk on. And so here I am. And I decided to make it my own business rather than work for somebody else because I wanted to, be able to do the things that I wanted to do.
Wow, Kim, I did not know half of that. And what an interesting way to get introduced into something that became your life path or something that you would end up doing for a living. So funny how life works that way, or how we get led into that particular life path, right? So I think, like we said in the introduction, there's a lot of people out there that have heard of Reiki, or maybe they've heard a little bit about it, but they don't really understand how it works. Can you tell us a little bit more about what Reiki is and how does it work?
So I guess first we'll kind of break the word down because Reiki sounds just like a little bit of a funny word. Most people, they hear it, they're like, what? Because I found in my area too here in Wisconsin that there's a good chunk of people who have no clue what it is either. So it breaks down to Rei, which means a higher power or God's wisdom. And then Ki, which is life force energy. So essentially, it breaks down to spiritually guided life force energy. So whatever your higher power is what, that energy would be. So in the, if you're going to pull up a Webster's dictionary description of it, it was kind of like a complementary health approach where whoever your practitioner would be places their hands either lightly on or just above you to direct energy. So it helps to facilitate the person's own healing process by the means of a healthy flow of energy.
So Kim, explain a little bit about how that energy flows to you. And is it coming from the universe? Just give us a little bit of an idea of your process.
Well, I guess from the way that I was taught, we view ourselves as a channel for the divine energy. So from whatever your divine purpose is, whether it's the source, whether it's universe, whether it's God, whatever your divine source of energy would be, angels, anything like that, they are channeling the energy to us. And then we direct it on to whoever the client may be. So we're just the channel for it. It doesn't actually come from us.
So you talked a little bit about how this helped you when you had your injury. What are some of the other benefits of Reiki?
So a lot of people initially, just for means of easy explanation, it provides a lot of relaxation. It provides a sense of peace. It can help improve your sleep. But it also helps with anxiety, depression, other symptoms of chronic illnesses. For the science part of me, it activates your parasympathetic nervous system. So it helps to reduce, blood pressure, heart rate. There's really no knowing the full spectrum of what it can possibly do for you, because the energy knows best, and it's going to go where it's most needed for the highest good of whoever you happen to be channeling the energy to. I had a client recently who, they don't talk a lot to me, but they shared a personal health issue that they noticed went away after their session. And they were just like, I didn't know this energy could do that. And I'm like, yeah, I would never promise it to you, but it certainly can. So yeah, it just has a wide range of benefits.
So we talked a minute ago about channeling and channeling from a divine source. Would this be considered a religious practice?
Yes and no, because it relates to you. So if it's whatever you choose to believe in, you can believe in nothing at all. You can believe in whatever source, feels right to you. Same with the person on the table. So it adjusts to you and what your beliefs are. So in that way, it's a very all-inclusive practice, because it doesn't matter where you stand on any of that. It adjusts for you.
Interesting. So that leads me to another question. If someone were interested in all of this and finds this field fascinating, how would you train to become a Reiki master?
So there are online classes available, but at least some of your training, I really believe you should do in person. It just is a different feel to it. They're usually very small classes, and then you have an instructor right there to answer any questions when you go over practice, things like that. And usually local either crystal shops or other real small businesses, like a Reiki Master, they sometimes hold classes to then teach students it. So you would start with Reiki 1, which goes over a lot of the history and the basic knowledge of what Reiki is. And then you learn how to channel that energy to use on yourself. So they recommend a certain length of time after you take Reiki 1 to really get comfortable and really practice using the energy for yourself and your own healing. And then you would move on to Reiki 2, which teaches you some more fundamentals along with how to channel the energy for other people, for in person and distantly. And in each level, you're attuned to a few Reiki symbols to use in your practice. And then for how I took it, Reiki 2, they recommended I stay there for a year to really practice, be able to use it on people, practice the distance healing, really get comfortable with where you were before you moved on to, depending on where you take it again, they either will call it Reiki 3 and 4 or just Reiki Master level teaching, where you learn some more advanced techniques. You'll get attuned to a few, obviously the master symbol and a few other symbols. And then you also learn how to actually teach it to others and attune people to the symbols. So it's a lengthier process to get your way through if you really take it to heart and practice it as you should, so that you're really feeling into that energy.
You talked a little bit about symbols. Can you explain what Reiki symbols are?
Well, you're attuned to them, so technically you're supposed to, the old verbiage was you were supposed to keep them secret. But of course, in the world of the internet, these symbols are all kind of out there. But in general, if you're not attuned to them, they technically, shouldn't work for you. But the basic ones that you're going to use are shokore, which is a protection symbol. And then you have seiheki, which is a more emotional-based symbol. And then you also have the distance healing symbol. And then there's the master level symbol and some other more like boost or power up kind of symbols if you find an area that's especially blocked that just doesn't want to get the energy moving. I've also taken Crystal Reiki, which teaches us 15 different other symbols to use in different healing modalities that I took in levels 1 through 4. So I have a few different symbols going for me, I guess, because I took those classes as well. But crystals are a great form of general energy healing too.
Thank you. Okay. So when you say an attunement or being attuned to a symbol, what does that mean?
It basically means that you're getting, for lack of a better way to say it, imprinted for those symbols so that you have been, in essence, allowed to use them to provide healing. So it's a whole, I don't know, like ritual or process that, the teacher will take you through. Your eyes are usually closed during it. It's a very meditative experience to go through the attunement. Some people end up going on a kind of journey while they're being attuned. Because I'm not as much clairvoyant as I am clairsentient and claircognizant, I kind of mainly saw colors and things as my attunements were happening, but I could feel, a lot of times I just felt peace when I was getting attuned to symbols. But everybody has a different experience, and they say that your feeling of it tends to increase as you make your way to master level. I don't know if I can say that my feeling of the attunement necessarily increased. It was more just like knowing that I was where I was supposed to be.
Perfect. I actually took the Reiki level 1 and was attuned at that level through distance. I knew what time of day they were going to be doing the attunement. So I quieted myself. I laid down just to meditate and wait for the experience. And I remember when I got up, I had more energy, I think, than I have had in years. I couldn't do enough. I was all over the house, cleaning and whatever else might happen. Oh my goodness. So it's interesting how that affects different people in different ways. It's a great experience. So talking about this as an energy healing practice, how does this compare? How is this like other types of energy healing?
Well, I mean, for other energy healing processes, like I use sound healing in my practice as well, that uses different vibration and, tones of frequency to help balance that energy. Because, our auras are obviously very susceptible to sound. We're made of how much percent water, like 80% water or something like that. So, like how water reacts to frequency. So I use a lot of that. I have had people that like the somatic healing seems to be a big practice that's coming forward now. And they just kind of connect to the energy a little bit differently than a Reiki practitioner. Okay. Obviously there's acupuncture, which I don't use needles. So that's more that energy healing practice. So, as far as, for different forms of healing, and I'm sure there's others that I am forgetting to mention.
Okay. So you talked a little bit about what your experience was when you first encountered Reiki. Tell us a little bit about what someone can expect if they were to come in for a session.
All right. So, traditionally you're going to start the session by filling out an intake form that is kind of a basic, like if you've been to the doctor, a medical history. So you want to give, your practitioner anything that you're looking to address in the session for sure. Any medical issues, any emotional issues, mental issues that you would, want addressed during the session, something that we could focus on, or the different crystals that then we would pick to help ease some of those kind of symptoms. So once you've gone through that, you're going to lie fully clothed on a massage table. I have a heater and blankets and all that stuff, so we make you extra cozy. I also have a heated eye mask and neck wrap because I'm in the cold north, and so we get you nice and cozy. get you into a nice relaxed state. And then usually the sessions begin. Some practitioners will lead you through, a breathing exercise or a meditation to help kind of get you in that really relaxed state. Sometimes there's crystals that will be placed on you or near around you, or they might have you hold some depending on what's going on. But in general, the sessions are pretty quiet. For me, you'll hear some sound tools. I have a gong bowl, some chimes, the tuning forks. So we'll go through those. I have one particular tuning fork that I do touch the body with, so I always get okay for that ahead of time. So lead through the session, and then after the session, we'll discuss anything that was found. If you had any particular chakras or body systems that seem to be blocked up, any solutions that we'd find to that. And then if we would recommend, either a frequency of treatment sessions or anything else going forward. But everybody kind of reacts differently during a session. So like as energy is released or as we're, doing other implementing of like replacing the energy that gets removed that's no longer serving you. Some people have, they feel the heat, they feel the tingling, they feel the need to adjust around. Some people, if they're in a more emotional and that's what we're releasing, they will cry. There's yawning, there's stomach growling or stomach noises, which I always used to hate as a hygienist because everybody's ears are right next to my stomach. So I mean, all of those different things are the way your body can release the energy. And so all of that is completely normal and expected during a session.
Great. Do you do distance Reiki?
I do distance Reiki, and I do it for people and animals because I'm an animal Reiki Master as well. And I've had a few people prefer in-person sessions for animals, but in general, I've done more distance sessions with animals.
I'm so glad that you mentioned animal Reiki because that's actually how I was introduced to Reiki. I had not heard of it before. This was years ago. And my mother-in-law, who was a huge animal lover, particularly dogs, in her little dog circle, had heard about a healer that was coming to their very small town from Australia. And she wanted to take her dog because he had so much pain from being hit by a car, arthritis and other joint pain. So she said, every time I bring him for his treatment, he just loves this practitioner. She goes, the minute he sees it, his whole demeanor changes and he can't wait to get up onto the table. And she said, as you could just look at his face, and as this treatment was happening, he would just relax. And she said, I don't know how to describe it. I don't know what it is, but it seems to really make him happy. So while that practitioner was in the area, she set up several sessions. So I appreciate you mentioning the animal Reiki because I don't know that a lot of people think about that for their animals or even Reiki practitioners as offering that as another service. So that leads me to my next question. If somebody is receiving traditional Western medicine treatment, is it common or is it something that they could do in conjunction with Reiki?
Because I have some, dental and medical kind of overlap in some of the things that we're taught. So I do have some medical training. And so when people come in with certain situations, like that is why I have my intake and I have them give me their doctor information and things like that. So there are things that we can address, and I can look at, like, say someone comes in that's dealing with cancer. They're just, you want to correlate those treatments with their medical provider so that you're communicating together to provide that best treatment for that patient. Because I really do believe in the combination of the two, of Western and Eastern. You really do need both to be your most healthiest self. So I'm always willing to work with people. I had a session with somebody once that the way they were releasing energy threw up, my hygienist hat and medical emergency. And I'm like, are you okay? And she's like, oh, no, this is just how I release. And I'm like, okay, great. I'm like, I was worried you were like having a seizure and I was going to have to do some things. But yeah, so it's really good to have if somebody's really going through something serious, or even if it's just, like muscle, or, to know chiropractors that may be able to help them, massage therapists that may be able to help them, different other specialties that we can all work together to help somebody achieve, their healthiest, most happy self.
So online, I've heard some people say that after a session, they might be a little bit tired. Can you just give us an example of some things that people might want to be prepared for if they're coming in for a session?
Yeah, and it is true. Some people, depending on, either the amount of energy released during a session, what they happen to be going through, if it's a more emotional thing for them, they can definitely be tired. I've also heard of people having headaches possibly the next day. Things like that, where I always just advise people, make sure that you, are relaxing, that you get some rest, that you don't, pack your, time immediately after your session with go activities, that you're not allowing yourself to really feel in and acclimate to that energy that we were working with. And like a lot of massage therapists and other people recommend, drink lots of water, allow all that stuff to flush through your system. Eat as healthy as you can. All those healthy foods are going to help your body be strong too. But I would say if anybody were to have, a longer term, like more than a day or two of like feeling really tired and headachy after that, you may want to reach back out to your practitioner. Maybe you need a quick distance session to release some more of that energy quickly. Or maybe you need to discuss some for a little bit, like more frequent appointments. Maybe you need something to release that energy more frequently for a little bit because it was really heavy and dense. So those are some of the things I've heard. I haven't heard too much beyond that, but yeah, there is always the chance of some of that.
So you talked previously about using your intuition when you're doing a session. Can you give us a little idea of how you might use, or someone else, another practitioner might use their clairsenses, whether that's knowing or seeing, to help with this type of practice?
Okay. Well, like I said, my main gifts are claircognizance and clairsentience. So either I just know, or I am very emotional. My Pisces nature, I'm very emotional, and I will feel into it. So I kind of put my intuition on autopilot during a session. So if I'm drawn to pick up a certain crystal for you, or a sound tool, or I need to focus the energy in this particular area, I just kind of go with it. I don't second guess anything. If I am a little bit clairaudient. So if I ever get any guidance in those areas, like if I'm focusing treatment on your head, per se, and I'm getting in, lack of sleep, I'm like, okay, this person needs to focus on their sleep a little bit more. So let's clear some of these worries and thoughts out so they can sleep more peacefully. So I'll sometimes get guidance in that way, but I remember I was doing a distance session for a dog, and I just got this overwhelming sense of sadness. Like I just almost started crying. So I worked on obviously releasing that for the dog, but then I also informed the owners. I'm like, okay, I got this big hit. So I don't know what's going on, within your family right now, but I'm like, give this puppy some extra cuddles, some extra love. Like he needs it right now. He's not feeling himself.
So Kim, tell us a little bit about your practice, some of the services that you offer, and how people can find you.
Okay, great. As you can kind of see a little bit behind me, I have the pictures of my pets that are actually the name of my business. Kiralily is a smash up of Kala, Iris, and Lily, who the three of them up there. Two of them are angels for me now, but so that's the name of the business. I do offer 1 hour, and if somebody needs just a quick tune-up, a 30-minute in-person Reiki session. I also offer 30-minute distance sessions. Animal sessions are a little bit different, and animals control the length of the session. So I'll schedule them for 45 minutes, especially if they're in person, so that they have time to like acclimate to the space. I tell people to bring, either their bed or their favorite blanket and toy, some kind of familiar items for them. And then like when I've worked on my dog, you know, like I'm thinking I'm going for 20 minutes and at 15, she goes and licks my hands like, okay, Mom, I'm done. Thanks. So you kind of feel off them. They're very sensitive to energy, so they know when they've had what they need for now. So that's why I can never guarantee a length of session when we do animals. But then I incorporate everything. Nothing is a la carte for my business. So all the sound healing, aromatherapy, Reiki, crystal healing, all of that is just intuitively done during each session. So I feel like most people don't necessarily, if they don't know what Reiki is, they definitely don't know what kind of healing session they want to have. So that's why I don't force people to kind of pick a lane. We do all the things, the chakra balancing, you know, all of that kind of stuff is included in each session. It's just intuitively guided. So let's say you have one session that I do aromatherapy, but another session that I don't. Like those kind of things. It's just guided. So each session is a little bit different and based on whatever you happen to be going through at that time and what I'm guided to use to help you. So that's basically my services. I do make my own Reiki and crystal infused soy candles, and they're all intention based. So I infuse the energy of that intention into each candle. So if people want to bring a little healing home with them in the means of a beautifully scented candle, they can do that. But yeah, so I just opened, officially it's been a little over a year, but I went full-time with my practice just last November. So
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you liked our content, please like and subscribe. We'll see you again.